Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Bette McCarthy. I'm the chair of the Barnstable Old Kings Highway Historic District. And I want to call this meeting to order this evening. And this meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable Government Access Channel. And in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, the chair must inquire if anybody else is recording this meeting, and if so, they need to make their presence known. All right. So to all persons deemed interested or affected by the Town of Barnstable Old Kings Highway Historic District Act under Section 9, Chapter 470, Acts of 1973 as amended, you are hereby notified that a hearing will be held on the applications listed on the agenda for July 10th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. We'd like to remind applicants and audience members that we are elected volunteer committee following the guidelines of the Town of Barnstable Old Kings Highway Historic District Act, and any applicant or interested party who's aggrieved by any of the decisions made of this committee, they have a right to appeal the decision to the Old Kings Highway Regional Historic Commission. We ask that during this evening's proceedings, all cell phones be turned off. Conversations other than those before the committee take place outside of this remote meeting. When an applicant is called, we ask that the applicant and all interested parties identify themselves. And lastly, as best practice for meetings held remotely, where we may not be able to visually identify who's speaking, we ask that all committee members and participants identify themselves before making any motion or comments. On the online audience, members wishing to participate during the public comment section of the hearing can use the raised hand button to notify the chair. Dial-in audience members wishing to participate during the public comment section of the hearing should press *9 on their phones to notify the chair. So all participants will be muted, and you must be recognized by the chair in order to participate. So our first order of business for this evening is to do a roll call vote of the committee. So George Jessup. Yes, George is not available. Leslie Wallace.
Here.
Ryan Caholen. All right. Wendy Shuck.
Here.
And Bette McCarthy, present. So I'd now like to start the meeting, and we have one continued application. We had opened a public hearing for this meeting, so that will not be necessary to open that.
Okay, fine.
So this continued application is for Sarah and Matt LeMay of 56 Red Wing Lane, Barnstable, map 318, parcel 007, undeveloped land. They want to construct a new colonial style home with a carriage house on the vacant lot. So is the owner or their representative available to discuss the plans for their building?
Hi, Josh Blakely here, representing Matt and Sarah LeMay for 56 Red Wing Lane. Matt and Sarah also present.
Nice to meet the committee. I just wanted to say a quick hello and thanks for your time. We're looking forward to the discussion, and thanks for your feedback so far.
Thank you.
Josh, can you maybe go through what's changed from the last meeting?
Sure. So we took all the information we got from the first meeting, and we kind of put our heads together, see what we come up with. Part of what we did was on the we'll just start with the farmer's porch. If you look at the south elevation, which is also, you know, the same elevation you're looking at there at the 3D perspective, we hipped the farmer's porch roof back. As you can see, it was a shed roof before. We split the ganged windows underneath the farmer's porch and centered them on the columns with the door. We added a arch detail to the bottom of the trim of the roof line, the top of the post area. We also submitted some details for the trim details, so you could see a little bit more about, you know, how it actually measures up. We lowered the roof line pitch to a 7 so that we could lower the height of the roof and the overall height of the structure. And we embellished the window trims, and we do have a page there that you can look at to see how we that detail there. So we also on the let's see, the
Garages.
yeah, the garage, which is the west elevation, we took the arches out of the garage doors and squared those off, which was some feedback that we got that we thought would be nice. And we showed the detail of the rake detail so that the rakes are now flying, and there's roof returns or pigeon returns, whatever you like to call them, that you can see on that detail as well. We also made some changes to the carriage house. I don't know if you want to discuss those now or do that after, but either way, happy to discuss that. So all the trim details all match the main house. What we did is we stepped in the dormers a little bit more to shrink the dormer size down a little bit. We brought the shed roof down below the roof line of the main roof, so that there's a little bit of so that roof line dies into that roof. They were prior they had met at the ridge together. And again, we just embellished the window trim detail and changed the garage door on that as well. So that's the bulk of what we did. We still have the same materials in play. We still have the same windows and doors in play. But basically we adjusted roof lines and added trim and changed the window layout on the front of the main structure.
And the doors match the house now too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a little bit better rendering on the doors that you can see. Also, another thing we did is we took, if you're looking at the south elevation there, you can see that we increased the frieze size on the frieze and dropped the windows down a little bit to bring the sill of that window closer to the shed or the farmer's porch roof. So there's less space between that roof line and the bottom of those windows. Does that make sense, what I said there?
Yeah.
Okay, committee, comments? Leslie, would you like to make some comments regarding the
This
changes?
is- Yeah, much better. I like the detail above the windows. I like the little arch business on the porch. Lowering the roof, it does make a difference. The garage, I mean, everything that we suggested, you did change to. So thank you for that. What, is there a difference now in the square footage of this house?
You know,
I think
recalculating the square footage is a little bit less.
For something, isn't it?
No, it was 3,400 before.
Oh.
It's now at like 3,100, and the carriage house is at 900.
Oh, okay, that was at 13, I thought, so you've
Right.
come down, yeah, okay. You know, while we're on the subject and it was mentioned, because I'm trying to remember. I went by, was it yesterday? Because I hadn't been down there, and when I first went down, the road is not good. So I didn't go all the way down to the end. I just went down and then I was afraid for my car. So the house that's directly across from you is not all that big. If you go down to the T, the house on the right is bigger, but the houses on the left are not all that big. Now you're facing 6A, and I see where you're coming from when you said there are homes that are very big on 6A in that area. I mean, they've got condos, they've got a bunch of stuff. But technically, your road is Red Wing. So I don't know, you have to kind of keep that in mind. But this is much better than the original. And I even think, because I wasn't crazy about the architecture, this is better architecture and the windows and everything than 2 weeks ago. And I appreciate, I can see where you changed quite a bit of, and the roof coming down has made a difference too. So that's all I can say. Try to get your road paved. Oh my God.
I'd like to point out that that's one of the few remaining dirt roads on the Cape, and
Yeah.
I think it's quite charming and perhaps a bit historic even.
Well,
Paved
as long
roads,
as you
they
don't
weren't around, Leslie, back in the day,
well, as long as you don't rip the bottom of your car out, it's not easy. Okay. But thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Leslie. Wendy, would you like to comment?
Sure. So for the house, I agree with Leslie. I certainly do appreciate the updates that were made. I think the roof line is much more appropriate for the area. The porch, the change in the porch, I think is much more appropriate and blends in well with the area. I think where I'm still struggling a little bit are the windows on the house, like first of all, I think the grill configuration needs to be like a 6/6 or an 8/8. You don't typically see, this grill configuration on the homes down 6A. There may be a few exceptions, but typically the colonials, have the 6/6, 8/8. So more panes in the lower half of the window. I think the windows on the bottom floor under the porch look to be the right proportion. The other windows to me just seem off. I don't know. I think with a colonial, typically the windows are like evenly spaced, and the ones up top are very different from the ones on the bottom. So that part doesn't, I think, blend well with what we typically see in the area. The overall house size, for some reason, I had 4,600 that was mentioned at the last meeting, but
So the combination between the carriage house and the main house.
okay, fair enough. So let's see, what else? Is there anything else? It's for me, the window configuration, and then I would also want to see more detail on the door, to see what kind of door you're going to put on there. Is that going to be a really modern looking door? Is that going to be a door that mirrors more what you might see in a colonial home down 6A? And then in terms of the carriage house, I think the placement of the carriage house on the lot, right? It's more forward than the house. It's closer to 6A than the house is, which is something you don't typically see. I don't want to say we never see it, but a carriage house or a garage would, usually be, parallel to the home or in back of the home. And the fact that we're going to be seeing the sort of like the backside of this garage, to me,
Yeah,
is a little troublesome. I don't know that really is something that we typically see in the area. And is there any possibility of moving that carriage house or doing something else with it? Because I think the placement of it is not going to be, I don't know. I think it's just going to jump out and not kind of be in harmony with what we typically see down 6A. So, and again, I would have the same comments about the windows. The 6/1, I don't think is appropriate. I think they need to be, the grills need to be changed. I'm hoping they're divided light or, the glued on the outside windows.
Simulated divided light, so they have
Yeah,
grills
which is
inside,
great.
outside, and small
Yep.
strips between them.
yeah,
Yep.
Right. As you know, Wendy, I mean, obviously we have conservation restrictions. We haven't replotted the actual locations to the exact locations yet because we're waiting to get approval on from you guys before Ojala or Down Cape Engineering remarks this plan up. But it's all based on what they've got approved from conservation, and we'll go to a conservation hearing and relocate that stuff. But that's why everything is, where it's placed, starting from the septic, working our way back to what's available to us to work with. So
Yeah.
you have a narrow, long lot, and a lot of it's conservation restriction.
most
So
of it.
you are limited. I'm just thinking, excuse me, Wendy,
Yeah, go ahead, Leslie.
a carriage house. Now, is the restriction that behind the house, as I'm looking at it, right? Yeah, right. Yes, that line, is that where the conservation, I guess I
Yeah.
can't read it.
That's
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
So you don't, is there any
And-
way to like flip the carriage house to the other side? Do you have enough room? So it's not like out in East Bung, you know what? And like more associated with the house rather than kind of on its own. Just see what I'm saying? It's hard to explain. Yeah, right. That area, yes.
Yeah.
And not getting into the conservation, because you do have problems with that. But I'm thinking,
like to-
would that be better?
I'd like to point out too that, having it this way, does give you an opportunity. It gives us the opportunity to hide our vehicles behind the structure, There'll be people, that's a parking space for that whole yellow area there is all driveway. And, what that does is that gives, automobiles a place to be like hidden from, Route 6A. So when you're looking
Yeah.
at that structure is obscuring, automobiles. So we kind of look at that as kind of a plus. We would need to go to a conservation hearing to see what they'd allow us to do,
Yeah.
This is what they've approved to this point.
Yeah. Well, I do agree with Wendy with the location of that carriage. I don't know, it looks off to me a little bit. I'm sorry to horn in, Beth.
Beth, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I'm my air conditioning failed and I'm on my porch, and so we have to deal with some loud, noisy birds out here. So forgive me for that. Some of the comments made by the committee, I think, are very valuable. Some significant changes were made. The garage doors, particularly the lower roof. But I am not getting an antique historic feel for this house. It is in a location that's very boggy, and I know the conservation, you have some real issues with that. I agree with Wendy about the grills on the windows. I think they should be complete on the bottom as well as the top. It's still, in my estimation, it still misses this historic feel for this neighborhood. And all of the houses nearby are at least 100 years old. So it still looks like a new house to me. As far as the carriage house, I think if that looked like a cute little barn or something like that, it would just blend in much nicer into the neighborhood as well. But it may not be as visible as the main dwelling. In my estimation, the house does not have, it's improved tremendously, but it does not feel like a historic home. Again, as I just mentioned, it looks like a new home, and in any in any kind of a neighborhood. So that pretty much covers my comments. I think there's nobody else on the committee to speak. What about, are there public comments? People like to discuss? Erica, are there people in the neighborhood to talk about?
If anyone would like to speak, I see a couple people that were on from the last time. I don't know if they would like to make another comment. So if anyone would like to speak, please.
Leslie March.
Leslie, yep. Leslie, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, you can go ahead and make a comment.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is Wellesley Marsh. We're one of the abutters to this property, and we were on the call last time, and we also submitted comments with a few photographs of homes in the immediate area. We did share some of our concerns and observations with those comments, and as well as last meeting. We did look at the tweaks to the plan, but our concerns remain. When you look at the plan overall, we appreciate the changes that have been made, but overall, there's no discernible difference to the architecture of the property. We would also agree with some of the comments made this evening regarding the character of how it's looking for this neighborhood. You know, with any new project, we understand that, you know, it's an old road with a lot of historic homes, and sometimes it's a bit tricky to fit a new property into an environment like that. However, it can be done. We have seen it done. And our concern remains, it's just not in keeping with the historic nature of this stretch of 6A. We would hope that, you know, all the comments in the meetings that we've had thus far and that would have changed the overall design more than what we've seen this evening. You know, it's once you build something, it sets a precedent. So if what is, you know, approved is then changing the character of a neighborhood, then whoever comes after that would follow in those footsteps. So that's why we have to be very mindful of all the little details and how it looks and how it fits and the character and the size and the proximity of where it sits on the property. So you know, and even the comments meeting regarding the carriage house, as far as putting it on the other side. The one comment made about the cars left me a bit confused because there is a garage on the property, so I'm not sure like why there would be so many cars outside the garage. I mean, I know people do that. A lot of people don't use their garages for cars. But as far as the carriage house sitting closer to 6A versus to the house is definitely a concern we have because it looks awkward. It looks like that's the first thing you see instead of the home.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's unusual in itself. Again, the windows, absolutely agree with that. The character of a home, windows are like the eyes of a home. So when you look at the windows, that sets the character of the home in a lot of cases, especially in a historic neighborhood. So to see the design not changing in that respect was a bit confusing because I thought a lot of the comments made last meeting, you know, were really productive. But, you know, some of the changes made were really, really nice. But overall, as a design, it just does not feel like a home on 6A in a historic neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public wishing to speak? Erica?
I am checking. All right. I do not see anyone else wishing to speak at this time.
All right. So,
Sorry, it looks like Mary Beth McKenzie would like to make a comment. Mary Beth, if you want to unmute yourself.
Hi, Mary Beth McKenzie here. I'm in a butter. Thank you for the revisions on what you did change, but I have to agree with a lot of comments that the board has brought up in my other neighbor that need to be looked at further. But that's just my you know, it's not my decision. I'm just I just agree with some of the comments were really good, and I just like to say that. So thank you.
okay. If that is the end of the
Can I say something real quick?
sure.
Okay. Wellesley, are you still with us? I think made a very good point, and I think that was what I was trying to articulate, that the carriage house is kind of, you know, you'd see it and it kind of doesn't go with the older historic homes, you know, either in the back or set back a little bit from the house. And I think she articulated what I was feeling, because there's something off in where it's situated. I agree with Wendy with the windows. I do think 6/6, you'd still get, you know, enough light would be more appropriate. You know, I feel, Josh, you've done a great job, you know, catering to what we have said and trying. But I do think that's on to something with, if you look at it from the 6A point of view, it doesn't fit in as well as it should. Let me put it that way. Okay, I've said my say.
All right. Thank you, Leslie. I believe now it's time to close the public hearing for this application.
Point of order, Bet, real quick.
Oh.
I don't know if you want to give the applicant the opportunity to make some more revisions and come back in another 2
all right.
weeks. If you want to have that discussion before closing the public hearing.
Okay, all right.
Also invite, you know, Matt and Sarah are both online here. I don't know if they were given the opportunity to say anything, but they're welcome to if it's appropriate. And you know, I certainly anything that was discussed here, you know, we'd have to talk about, you know.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, this is Matt LeMay, the potential owner of this property. Number one, appreciate everybody's feedback. And again, we have tried to take in as much of the feedback as we could to still create a home that we are going to enjoy and that we feel will, you know, raise property values and make the neighborhood even better than it already is. But I think there are a couple of challenges, you know, on our side. Number one, the comments around, you know, this house should look like it's 100 years old. It's obviously, as you all probably understand, very difficult to build a brand new place and have it do that. So we are trying to build in the character of that. As far as the location of the carriage house, I think Josh mentioned it. We actually would prefer it to be back as well, but we are limited right now by conservation. And if this gets approved by this committee, then we can go and we can push, you know, with conservation to set it back. But right now, we don't have that option. So I think, you know, we're all in agreement that we would love to have it set back. We just don't have a lot of property to work with. And we don't have the opportunity to work with them to change that until we get past this step. So I would just leave that there. But, you know, I think the 6/6 to us is not a problem. The window, you know, change is not a significant one. If you were to tell us that that is the key here, and then to try to work on moving the carriage house back, I think we could all agree that that would be reasonable. I'm just not sure where else we go from here, because I feel like this is the house that we are trying to design with the character changes that you've suggested. So I guess I'll stop there.
Yeah, and I guess my response would be, you know, the 6/6 definitely helps, but to the earlier comments, I think it's the overall design too, you know, the placement of the windows, the configuration. You know, we're not necessarily asking you to replicate, you know, a 100-year-old home, but just from a stylistic perspective where it fits in a little bit better, because now, you know, I agree. I don't think it does fit in that well. I think it would kind of jump out as kind of a more modern style home. And there are some new homes, you know, I can think of one down 6A that was recently built that does look like an old home. I mean, they've got features on it, characteristics on it that you know, as a newcomer to this area may not know. But it's the overall style, I think, of the house. And certainly, you know, the grills, the molding details, you know, the size of the rake, the corner board, like all that stuff matters. But it just doesn't quite hit the mark just yet. Getting closer though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the pitch of the roof much better.
Yeah.
As far as I feel, it's the design. We look at the design, but we also look, as important as the design is, does this particular home fit in the neighborhood? We need to consider that. And that also is a very important feature. So that pretty much covers my comments. So the owner and Josh, are you willing to make some additional changes, or do you want the committee to go ahead and vote on what you've presented this evening?
That's entirely up to the owners, but I would say we'd like to have a continuance, but that's entirely up to them, Matt and Sarah. So
I think we'll have a discussion with Josh and talk about what else could be done here. So a continuance would be appreciated. Yeah, I mean, maybe some additional guidance would be helpful because we're not sure what is going to make this a 100-year-old home and appropriate in the neighborhood at this stage. But we can have some additional conversation for sure and discuss in 2 weeks.
All right, very good then. So in that case, we can have a motion to continue this meeting to our meeting on July 24th, and if that's satisfactory with you.
Okay,
Good for me.
Thank you.
Okay,
okay.
all right then. So we need a motion.
Okay, this is Wendy Shuck, and I move to continue the certificate of appropriateness application for Matt and Sarah LeMay, 56 Red Wing Lane, Barnstable, map 318, parcel 007, undeveloped land, to the July 24th, 2024 meeting at 6:30 p.m. to be held remotely.
Second,
Thank you. And a roll call vote. Leslie Wallace,
aye.
Wendy Shuck,
Aye.
and Bette McCarthy, aye. So we'll look forward to hearing back from you in 2 weeks. All right,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll now go on to our next application. It's, I hope I don't fracture your last name. Margaret and Frank Andriaukis, 51st Way, Barnstable, map 301, parcel 046, built in 1974. There are 2 applications. One is to demo the existing house so we can, and then it's to build a new 30 feet deep by 64 feet long by 30 feet high home. So we now need to open a public hearing for this application.
Sure, this is Wendy Shuck, and I move to open the public hearing.
All right,
Second,
thank you. Roll call vote. Leslie Wallace,
aye.
Wendy Shuck,
Aye.
and Bette McCarthy, aye. So now we need to have the applicant or their representative discuss the home.
Hi, this is Mike Rockwell. I'm the owner of the house company, and I'm here representing Frank and Peggy Andriaskis. They are here in attendance as well. So basically what we'd like to do is remove the existing structure. It's just not serving the needs of the owner at this point. Take that building down and then construct a new home based on the design that's in front of you. Material wise, very classic, straightforward materials. CertainTeed architectural roof shingles, white cedar shingles for the side walls, white Andersons, Anderson windows, 6/0s, white trim, all double hungs throughout, and available for any of your questions or thoughts.
All right,
Better start with the demolition now.
Yes, I
All right,
would start with the demo and then we can move on to the COA after that if you'd like
all right,
for discussion.
then we can, all right, so then we need to close the public hearing on the demolition.
Right.
Point of order, Bet. So with
Yeah,
demolition, we would still have committee discussion and then ask if
Okay.
there's any public comment.
Oh, all right, very good. Does anybody on the committee want to discuss the demolition of the home?
So, my only comment is it's certainly not an antique home, right? It was built, what, in 74? I don't think there's anything historically significant about it, so I don't have any concerns about demolishing the home.
Okay,
I
Thank you,
agree with
Wendy.
Wendy. Yeah, I agree
right.
with Wendy. Yep.
all right. And I also concur on the demolition. Erica, are there any members of the public online wishing to discuss?
This is Erica. Blanchett. I do not see anyone wishing to discuss this project for the demolition.
All right. So then we can close the public hearing on the demolition of the property at 51st Way.
Sure. This is Wendy Shuck, and I move to close the public hearing.
Second, Leslie Wallace.
All right, and roll call vote. Wendy Shuck,
Aye.
Leslie Wallace,
Aye.
and Beth McCarthy, aye. So now we need a motion to approve the demolition.
Sure. This is Wendy Shuck, and I move to approve the application for demolition for Frank and Margaret Andriakis, 51st Way, Barnstable, map 301, parcel 046, built 1974.
Second, Leslie Wallace. I'm having trouble here.
All right, so we have a second, and then we need a roll call vote on that. Wendy Shuck,
Aye.
Leslie Wallace,
Aye.
Beth McCarthy, aye. So the application for the demolition is approved. So now we will consider the plans for the new structure.
Want me to start, Bet?
Yes. Thanks,
Okay.
Wendy.
Yep, no problem. So a couple questions and thoughts. So the new house is large. It's, I believe, quite a bit bigger than the old house, if I'm correct. So I think the old house or the existing house, 2,060 square feet, the new home, 4,652, is that correct? I want to make sure I'm,
Yeah, I'd have to double check that number.
okay. It's a large house, and I think it looks like it's gonna be about almost 30 feet high, which I think that's, I don't know if we have the building inspector on, but I think that's the 30 is as high as you can go on a residential property.
Correct, yeah,
So-
yeah. It was one of our
Yeah.
design challenges was to keep it at that height.
Yeah, so it's large, it's significantly larger, I think, than most of the houses on that street. Now, granted, in that general neighborhood, there are some bigger ones, but down that street, we tend to have a lot smaller cottages, and this is going to be quite large, so I'm a little bit concerned about the size of the new structure. And then also, can we get the very front head-on elevation, Erica?
Yeah,
Is there
that's
one?
what I want to see. Yep.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
sliders on the front are not something that we typically see in the area, right? We usually see sliders in the back of the house, so to have them in the front of the house is another concern for me. And just looking at this, it's big, I'm just concerned of the overall size. The style, I'm not sure the style fits in the neighborhood either. And I understand you're probably trying to take advantage of views, and things like that, but my concern are the size, the sliders, and I think just the overall style of the home. So I'm not sure it fits with some of the surrounding properties.
All right. Thank you, Wendy. Leslie?
Yep, I'm heading in that direction too. Busy, busy, busy with all the slider and decks and all that stuff. I'm not crazy about that. And the 6/6 might help it for windows. A lot going on. Let me put it that way. A lot going on. Can you, what we're looking at now is what you see straight on, or I can't see the bottom part. Okay, can you go down a little bit? That's the back. Okay, go up a little bit. So that we're looking at, that's the front elevation.
Correct. Yeah, that's the street view.
Okay, so you're coming in, there's like 3 big windows, looks like a big slider. The last door is the one you enter into the house with.
Correct.
what
Yeah,
I'm-
you go up that front
Okay,
porch
okay,
and then the door's over there to the left.
I'm wondering if just a more traditional door where the middle window is might take the sting of modernness out of it. See what I'm saying? Maybe do another 3 windows like you have on the right side, the same thing on the left side, and where that middle window is, have a nice big door with the side lights, and that might look good. I'm trying to figure out, there's a lot going on with these balconies.
Yeah, I don't think that's certainly nothing that's gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the owners would have an issue with doing something like
No.
that, if that would help for sure.
Don't you agree it would make it more?
Yeah, certainly more traditional.
Yeah.
Again, I don't see really an issue of getting rid of those lower sliders, and changing to something more traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
and
this
then-
looks more like, to me, the back of a house than the front of a
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
I think that's what
yeah,
I
yeah,
am struggling
yeah.
with a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and as you had stated, I mean, what we are trying to take advantage of that view. That's the side that sees the water. So
yeah,
like most of the properties in that area now, everybody's trying to get some views of that area.
yeah,
So hence all the glass on this side of the house and the balconies on this side.
yeah.
There's.
What are your thoughts?
I think the balance is off a little bit. I like the change, the front door, to have it more centered on the building. We have a 3 slider on the top, then a 4 slider on the left, then 3 windows. They're balanced on the ones on the other side. The thing is, a lot of the large homes in the neighborhood happen to be on a corner, where this is not situated. It's in the middle of the street. So it is a little overwhelming for the other homes in the neighborhood. I know this is the trend down there. It's losing the character of what Millway area used to be, and it's become a little bit of mini mansions, unfortunately. But It's kind of a sign of the times.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you're trying to use the same foundation because there's a lot of land on one side of the property and then it's very close to the property line on the other, but
Yeah, and with that, we're striving to keep some lawn, we're just trying to keep, a reasonable area for football games and cookouts and everything else that we want to do on the outside of the house.
But the back of the house is, the way the windows are situated also, it's not balanced. They're all out of line there. So
I think my only comment on that would be that it is the rear of the house. I mean, I think the only people that are going to see that are going to be the neighbors that are directly behind them. And there obviously that is a misprint on the drawing there. Those upper 3 windows in the dormers would be 3/0 to coincide with the rest of the units.
Yeah.
And those, the ones on the top are 6/6, but you don't have the windows are inconsistent.
I think I just addressed that is a misprint on the drawing. That yes, we would go with a 6/0 for those 3 windows that are in the dormer in the rear to match the rest of the windows.
Would you consider 6/6?
It'd be a decision that I'd want the owner's feedback on. I don't see it as being inconceivable, but I would want to run it by the owners.
More historic. I'm just trying to get it to fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the rear of the home. I don't,
No, but it's on the front too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yes, definitely for the front.
Yeah. Because they're eclectic down there. You do have the big and the small and the gigantuan and all. Now, where this is going to be located, though, is with a small one. So that is a consideration.
Right. The house to the left of it is very charming.
Yeah.
It's smaller.
Yeah.
Right.
They did a nice job renovating that one.
And I think we need to consider like the size of this house, right? Like it's going to go right up to 30 feet and it's going to tower over some of those smaller cottages.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's big. And Erica, can we look at the plot plan? If you can pull that up. I think there's one. So you can see where, like the existing dwelling is.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, quite a bit bigger, but also taller. I mean, it's going to be tall. I don't know, for example, that new house down on Sunset that's got the tower in it.
Right.
Like,
on the beach.
How high? Yeah. Is that tower 30 feet? I mean, I don't know if
they had to get a zoning waiver.
They did that. Yeah, that was really, so, I'm a little worried about this kind of jumping out as being this massive home.
Right.
With a lot of smaller ones around it. I think it's going to look a little bit out of place, honestly. It's large and it's tall, really.
Right.
What's the acreage?
I would have to check. I want to say it's 1/3 of an acre, but I can't swear to that.
Yeah.
It's a big house for 1/3 of an acre.
Yeah.
And that will make it even more overwhelming.
11,000 square feet. Ed Bowers, Building Department.
Thanks, Ed. So just a little bit in the defense of the height, I mean, what we were striving for there was really to have a 2-story home with dormers.
To have what? I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's basically just a 2-story home with a dormer, with dormers coming out of the 2nd story. Because, I mean, we're cognitive of the fact that it was getting tall. So, putting the dormers in there and putting the balcony on there, we're hoping that was going to alleviate some of the height issues and just make it a little bit more palatable.
But is this a 3-story home?
It's 2 stories with an attic, and then we're dormering out the attic.
Yeah.
Well, there's
the center section that is the highest is a typical 2-story with a cape roof. it just appears to be high because you have a standard cape to the right on the garage. That's a single story cape house. The center section is just a 2-story with a, what's, 812 or something, 912 with a
Yeah.
dormer.
Yeah, an 812 pitch on
Okay.
that, and then a 312 pitch on the dormer.
30 feet is to the top, top ridge line or close because of the dormer. That's where your header is for your occupiable space.
Okay. Thanks for the
Well, that-
clarification. Thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah, that's the max. I have concerns about the size and the blending in with the neighborhood, and it's just massive across the front. So
Yeah.
if the footprint was a little more of an L shape and some of the house went back, it wouldn't seem as massive as it
Right.
appears.
Or a detached garage or something,
Right.
but that's up to the homeowner to decide.
Right.
Clearly.
What's the pitch of the roof above the garage? Yes, this whole, what is that pitch right there?
It's an 812, like the main house.
The main house, yeah.
Correct. Yeah, an 812.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see some changes, because I think as is, you know, I've expressed my concerns with the sliders, the overall size. So,
And I don't think, if I can just jump in real quick again, Mike Rockwell, I don't think we have any issues at all with redoing, things like the sliders. Maybe turning that into, like you said, into a triple window on the left and a center door to try to help the symmetry of the building a little bit.
Okay.
And going to 6/6 windows again, I don't foresee a big issue with that. Yeah, I'd be the first to admit it's not an insignificant sized building, but 4 or 5 houses down to the left, there's houses that are this size and larger. So I just don't, again, this is me. I just don't see that's inconsistent with the neighborhood. Now, is it changing? Yes. I mean, were the cute little ranches cool? Yeah, but so are horse and carriages, but we're moving on here.
right.
Well,
But I do
there
think, yeah, most of the
Well, we
homes on
still
First
want to have it.
are small.
We are the
Right.
historic district, so we
Yeah.
have to take all that into, and once you keep letting it slide, then it's a mess. So I think that's
Right.
why we always are so concerned.
Understand.
The middle part with, okay, bring over that little doodah to here. No. The middle part with the dormers and all that, I think if something could be done with that, it would
Yeah.
take first of all, looks kind of modern to me. And secondly, I think it would lower everything down, make it a little bit more uniform, and I think it would look better. It's like so busy.
Right. This is Pat. I agree with what the committee has the comments so far. There's a house on Second Way, and it has a very colonial look in the front, but it has a lot of additions, and it has a deck on the second floor, and I'm sure it has as many square feet, but the way it sits in the front, it doesn't look as massive as this particular design.
Yeah.
That's 31 Second Way. I built that.
All right.
Yeah.
And it blends in the neighborhood much better than this does.
Well, Richards didn't have the ocean view either. So we weren't, you know, I think you, if you notice on that one, it's got a widow's walk on it. So we're trying to get whatever view we could for them on that building.
Well, would you be interested in making some adjustments and coming back to us at our next meeting?
I can't speak for the owners, and Frank, and Peggy, feel free to chime in here, but no, I think we would definitely be interested in trying to bring it into something that you'd allow us to produce.
Yeah, this is Frank and Peggy Andriaskis. We certainly agree. I think we probably it was an oversight on our part. We actually didn't think those were sliders. We probably communicated poorly. So that's all on us. I think, and I certainly understand why it may have been sliders, because actually a house that we had seen had sliders in that situation. So all the recommendations that were made make a lot of sense. The size is, we're trying to accommodate a large summer gathering, and that's the main driver on the size. But we certainly will work with Mike on some of those suggestions. The L shape is an interesting idea, but obviously have to make sure that that makes sense from a construction and economic standpoint.
Right. Yeah.
Squares and rectangulars are less expensive, and so
Right.
we'll work with Mike on that. I really do think the recommendations are
Yeah.
very much appreciated.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we want this property to blend in with the neighborhood. We don't want everybody to walk by and not be friendly to you and so forth. And
Yeah.
so
Well, we
all
want
right,
it to look fabulous. Why
Yes.
wouldn't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and I understand trying to fit family and relatives into you need as big as property interior as you can manage. So why don't we, if you're agreeable, continue this to the July 24th meeting.
Point of order, this is Erica Brown. Real quick, Beth, before we have the motion to continue, we just need to ask for public comment.
Okay.
Does anyone from the public wish to make any comments? There's no public comment. You can go ahead and
Could I just
motion.
just get a little bit more clarification? I understand that we want to go for redesign here and try to, to get more in keeping with the area. Can you give me specifics that you're really looking for? What's going to help us get this to where we need to go? As opposed to me just arbitrarily trying to do something, coming back and saying, oh no, this is not going to work either, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. That's helpful.
All right.
Yeah. Well, we can't design it for you, obviously, right?
Sure.
Right.
But I think, given our comments, looking at other properties in the area, and not that you have to copy it, but make it kind of blend in a little bit, because there is a lot of asymmetry to this house. I believe most of the other houses don't have so much asymmetry. So perhaps if there's a way to do that, large isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? I think a lot of people need the space, but, designing it so when you first look at it, it doesn't look enormous. You may have other ways to kind of hide that or disguise that, whether it's with an L or other ways. And I think that's acceptable, but I think just making it, you know, that we don't need cookie cutter houses, right? We don't want you to copy anything, but just something that blends in a little bit more with the surrounding homes. And Bet and Leslie, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
You know what? I'd like to see the front of the house again. I just thought of maybe an idea. Can you get that up, Erica? Okay, yeah. The left-hand side, would it be possible to back that up a little bit? So it's not so straight across, it's, I think it would break up and make it not look quite as big. Get your clicker on that, but yeah. Could that be set back a little bit?
Well, sure, we have potential for to do anything. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's certainly
because
is a
you
potential.
have the property. I think if it was, because it's now like almost straight across. Maybe if that was pushed back a bit, you get a little different and you break up that like bigness, if you know
Yeah.
what I mean. And I
Mhm.
think that might look good and look, kind of break it up so it's not so, you know, I don't know, big. You're a good sport, Mike.
Hey, I'm old enough now that, yeah,
Yeah. But
crying
I
and
don't
whining
know.
and fighting really doesn't resolve anything.
I
So,
mean, that,
yeah.
yeah, that's one possibility. And that would kind of break up the front, so it wouldn't look quite as big. I don't know, maybe not, but it's a suggestion. I was just thinking that when I was looking over what it looked like. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, are we in agreement then that you will come back to us in 2 weeks?
Yes, please.
All right. Very good then. So, we need a motion then to, continue this application.
Sure, this is Wendy Shuck, and I move to continue the certificate of appropriateness application for Frank and Margaret Andriakis, 51st Way, Barnstable, map 301, parcel 046, built 1974, to the July 24th, 2024 meeting at 6:30 p.m. to be held remotely.
Second, Leslie
Thank
Wallace.
you. Thank you. And a roll call vote. Leslie Wallace,
Aye.
Wendy Shuck,
Aye.
and Beth McCarthy, aye. So back to the drawing board.
Okay.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you. All right. Our next application is for Deborah McManus, 2876 Main Street, Barnstable, map 279, parcel 011, built in 1895, to paint the front of the house, including the trim on all windows, the dog houses, eaves, and soffits. May we have open a public hearing for this application?
Sure, this is Wendy Shuck, and I move to open the public hearing.
Second, Leslie Wallace.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Wendy Shuck,
Aye.
Leslie Wallace,
Aye.
and Beth McCarthy, aye. So now we have the applicant. Discuss the color.
Deborah,
Can you hear me?
we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Do you just want to give a
I
little
was having a
overview
little
of
bit
your
of trouble. Did
project?
you? Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said. Yes, basically what I would like to do is take the body of the house from a light beige to a light gray, or the gray that I have presented there, the Delray gray. I'd like to paint the trim of the windows white. I'd like to paint my French door that's on the sides white as well, but keep the body gray. There's a little bit of body on the house there where the French door is on the right, if you're looking at the picture, where the wraparound porch goes to. The dog
one at the
house
back?
has a little bit of,
Yeah, okay.
so pretty much, yeah, I just want to take the body of the house from beige to white. From beige to gray, I'm sorry. And then the dog house has a little bit of beige on it as well. And that window would be, the window trim would be white, and there's a little bit of beige or clapboard around that would be gray. And around the French door would be gray, but the French door itself would be white. And the front door would stay green, would be green. And then the shutters, I said I wanted them to be white, but I think that I need it to be black. I just need a little definition. I feel like there's no definition on the house. That's basically what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
So the siding would be gray and the shutters black
Correct.
with a white
Because
trim.
I think that if I change my mind back to white, that would still be okay, correct?
Change what back?
Like, I think today I want that, like, first I wanted them to be, the shutters to be white,
Yeah,
but now I think I want them to be black because I want some definition on it.
yeah. Well, I think that the black would look good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Would you
I
paint?
think originally, many years ago, they were black.
Okay. Would you paint the front door black? I can't, is that a solid door, the front door?
No, I'm not gonna paint a black front door. No, that's gonna be green.
Okay.
It's green today.
Okay.
Okay,
And your French doors though would be white, or they stay green?
They would go from green to white,
Okay.
the French doors.
okay,
Okay, so the trim and the doors will be white.
Correct.
Except for the front door would be green.
okay. And the trim is white and the shutters are black.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Well,
And
I
that would
think,
be on the soffit.
I think the gray would look very nice on the property. I think
Yeah.
it would
Yeah,
tie in very nicely with the neighborhood and also blend in with your cedar shake too, so.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to match, one of the grays in those cedar shakes, yes.
I
All
think
right.
it'll look very nice and very stately. I think it'll be a little bit more formal looking, but I think it'll look very nice. I like that gray color.
Thank you. I think the black shutters might give it a little bit more of a stately look. The white shutters are a
Yes.
little more casual. That's why I was
Yes.
going back and forth.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
And the white shutters will blend in with the white trim, and I think the black would be very nice. I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would like to see it like a little pop, just, yeah,
yeah.
give it a little depth.
I think the black dresses it up and
Yeah.
oh, very nice.
Thank you.
Do we have any other committee comments? If not, we'll see if there's any members of the public.
Just so the note, on the rest of the house, like the windows are just going to be white, like on the other three sides, the soffits at the top. So the only part that will be gray is just the front of the house. Everything else
Front
will
door.
be white. The trim will be treated white on all the other three sides.
Okay. All right, Eric, is there anybody in the public wishing to comment?
Chair, this is Erica Brown. I don't see anyone wishing to speak to this item at this time.
All right. So then we need to close the public hearing.
Sure, this is Wendy Shuck, and I move to close the public hearing.
Second, Leslie Wallace.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Wendy Shuck,
Aye.
Leslie Wallace,
Aye.
Beth McCarthy, aye. So now we need a motion to approve the application.
Okay, this is Wendy Shuck, and I move to approve the certificate of appropriateness application for Deborah McManus, 2876 Main Street, Barnstable, map 279, parcel 011, built 1895, with one modification to paint the shutters black, otherwise as submitted.
Second, Leslie Wallace.
And a roll call vote. Wendy,
Aye.
Leslie,
Aye.
and Beth, aye. So we look forward to seeing the new paint job. Very good.
Thank you. So there'll be black shutters and gray base. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Okay, thank you.
All right, our next, there are no other applications. We have a minor modification for Brandy and Nathan Mackey, 1730 Main Street, West Barnstable, map 197, parcel 035/002, undeveloped land, to change the window sash color to black, the siding color to white stained, the metal roof accent roof to black, and the asphalt roof to moire black. The original certificate of approval was approved on April 10th, 2024. So do we have any comments from the committee on this?
Do you remember what the siding color was originally going to be? I don't have a problem with what was submitted, but I'm just curious. I don't remember.
Was it
going to be a gray?
Oh,
or
I
something?
think it
White
was
cedar?
white.
Yeah.
No, just natural.
White. Yes.
Oh, okay, so they're going to stain it.
Yeah.
White stained, okay.
This is Erica Brown. I did not ask for any color swatches for this one because it is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I figured looking at the plans, you would remember this.
Yeah, I remember,
this
yeah.
project.
approving this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that metal accent roof, is that what we're seeing on the front right there?
Yes,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
little
That's the
metal
little
section.
copper
Yeah.
roof. Yep.
So they're going from copper to black, huh? Black metal, okay. I'll probably save some money
And then
too.
the black roof.
Yeah,
That'll look good.
will look good. It's a cute little house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with this.
Me either.
Okay. All right. I don't either. I think it's fine, the change. So then we can, if there are no other comments, we can have a motion.
Yep, okay. This is Wendy Shuck, and I move to approve the minor modification for Nathan and Brandy Mackey, 1730 Main Street, West Barnstable, map 197, parcel 035/002, undeveloped land as submitted.
Second, Leslie Wallace.
All right, a roll call vote. Wendy,
Aye.
Leslie Wallace,
Aye.
and Beth McCarthy, aye. So we don't have any extensions. The open meeting law, I don't believe we're discuss that this evening. I think we can postpone that for another evening.
Again, just to make sure, I know that we had touched upon it the last time. Leslie, you got all my emails?
I did.
Perfect.
I
Just
haven't
want to
done
make
the
sure it was
test.
received.
Yeah, I haven't done the test yet, but I will. And somebody said though, you don't have to, but I'm still gonna do it. Yeah, I got everything.
Perfect.
Okay.
Any
Good.
certificates, if you finish them, just make sure to please send them into Cindy Lovell, the town administrator.
Into who
Oh,
was that?
dear.
That's
You can
Cindy
send it
Lovell.
to her?
I can
Oh,
send
okay.
you her email.
Okay, that would be great. So
Yep.
I have mine. Yeah.
Now, wait a minute, I'm not good on the computer. When you finish, usually you click it and it's automatically sent. It's not now?
I
It
got an
might be retained
email.
for
Yeah.
the state level. For our records, it doesn't go to our town. So I want to make sure that Cindy receives them so that everybody is
How do
accounted
you
for.
do that though?
You can
How do you
save the
do it?
document, or you can download it, or they might email it to you afterwards, Wendy.
Yeah, I got an email, so you might be able to just forward the email, Leslie,
Yeah,
to,
'cause I can't do all this computer stuff. I'll never
yeah,
be able to do it. Yeah.
yeah, I think you
I
can
know
just,
Cindy. She knows I'm honest. I could just say I did it. And she can hunt for it if she wants to see it bad enough. Oh, I love Cindy. She's a good egg.
yeah, yeah, if you could send us that email address, Erica, that would be great.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Erica.
And by
All
the way,
right,
just one note, so when I went to take the training, I sent a note to Erica. You have to select, you're supposed to select like your committee, but the Old Kings Highway doesn't come up. There's no select, so I just selected like Barnstable. I didn't know what else to select, so. Just FYI.
Okay. All right.
So when it first comes up, it has a list and you just said Barnstable.
Yeah, there's a drop down list. I
Yeah.
said Barnstable, and then I think there was a field where you could type in the name of your committee after that. So
Okay.
that's where I put the Old Kings Highway. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go through all this and have it be null and void.
I know.
And
Oh,
not, yeah.
God. All right, darlings. Is that it?
All
for us?
right, everyone. All right. Well, thank you all so much. We have a diminished group here tonight,
I
but
know.
everybody did a great job, and I think good decisions were made to send things back to
Yeah. And in a nice
be
way. Yes.
reconsider. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. We gave them good suggestions.
And again, we can't redesign for people, but I think we gave them good suggestions.
Yeah, well, ideas, and then they can take it from
Right.
there. By the way, Wendy, I went by your house. Gorgeous. It really looks good with all those chairs and all beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just as a point of order, we just need a motion to adjourn.
To
please.
adjourn, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
we will do that.
Okay. This is Wendy
I-
Shuck, and I move to adjourn today's meeting Wednesday, July 10th, 2024.
And the second,
And Leslie Wallace.
thank you. And a roll call vote, Leslie Wallace,
Aye.
Wendy Shuck,
Aye.
Bette McCarthy, aye. So thank you all very much.
Right.
Thank you,
Take care.
Erica.